Today is Saturday, May 16th, and today I went to a park with a couple of friends of mine, one a really close friend of mine, and someone who I haven't seen in a very long time. And it was a good time. The name of the park was Chimney Bluffs State Park in New York. It's up near Lake Ontario, and my original plan for today was I was gonna get out there and see if I could start recording um, some just on the spot art with a clipboard and with some watercolor paints and some gouache. But as we sat down to rest and really start, they were nice enough for me to get started with art. Um, it started raining, so we decided that that might not be the best idea. um so instead we just kind of booked it for the hills and went back to the car and headed home. But it was an all in all, it was an amazing day. um and I was still inspired enough to make that the focal point of today's work. It's Saturday. My goal with Saturday was just to draw from imagination. So every Saturday, no reference image, nothing I'm going off of, just either a memory of a place that I have or something completely new from just for fun. And so that's what I decided to do today, just trying to capture what I remember from that place, and having as much fun as I could with it. And again, I I quickly found myself. This is what I'm gonna try today is just recording the audio and then compressing the video to fit how long I was talking for. So we'll see how that goes. But what I found today was I just kept getting. I mean, I hate to say it, disengaged or disinterested with what I was working on. I almost kind of found myself getting bored with what I was making, and like I think that's an important thing to recognize. And it's something that I'd like to work on in the future too. Because if in life you have to get something done, you want to do as best as you can, and you don't want to just half-ass it. I feel like I kind of half-assed it today. So I apologize for that. Um, but I still had a really good time just doodling around. I got the structure of the cliffs and the bluffs, and I tried to get some color down and see if I could remember what the clouds looked like, what the water looked like. It was this kind of odd thing where the clouds were this deep blue, almost purple, and then the water had this hue of green to it. And it wasn't too green, but next to those purple clouds, it really popped out. And I think I overkilled it a little bit in this one. You'll see later on, but just a really beautiful place and a great time to spend with some friends. And the conversation was just it was stellar. Um, a lot of big life questions and um, encouraging each other. And I feel like it's hard to find that with friends nowadays, or just in general too. Like it's so easy to go day to day life, just living surface level, and sometimes you do have to do that, but having moments where you can kind of be vulnerable with some other people around you, those are special, and I felt very lucky to have them with me, and listen to what was going on in their lives and share a little bit of what was going on in mine, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a really good time today. So that was our time at the park. Um, what else happened today? Today's also after that. Um, it was a bit of a mess too. Like speaking of people that we care about, there are always people that come into our lives and leave our lives who, you know, no matter what happens, even people who maybe have issues with in the past, like you still have that care for them and hope to see that they succeed and that they're doing well. And you know, I won't go into the details because it's very personal, but trying to find the words right now that can give plausible deniability and anonymity. I think it's never good to hear that someone you cared about might be making poor decisions, whether or not that's true, and whether or not you even care about them anymore. Um, Relationships change, and there's some people you really just can't be friends with anymore. Um, but that doesn't mean that you want bad things to happen to them in whatever form that takes. And, sometimes people do want bad things to happen, and so I guess that's that there's space for that in the human condition, and I'll put that as a separate part. Maybe that's something we could. I don't know. I generally don't want that. Even the people who I come into conflict with. There's always an ounce of understanding or even like pity sometimes. I know I'm not the best person either, though, and I've made plenty of mistakes. Um, and so I try to admit those when I can. But also, very often, I try hide them up, and maybe hide behind hide behind the mask of trying to do the right thing. And we're always given options in life of doing the right thing or what we feel to be the right thing, or just letting life go by. And you never know what's going to happen until you make the decision to try and help out in any capacity. And, you could do that for anybody. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, and maybe I'm losing the chain. Yesterday, I did a lot of editing where I trimmed out ahs, ums, awkward pauses, and I don't know. I felt like yesterday's video was a little bit disingenuous, especially the intro to it. It felt very influencery, which wasn't what I was trying to go for with this channel, or at least not to begin with. Like maybe after know, after enough time has happened, and if people are interested in it, I'll try to start farming engagement or something like that. But for now, this is just a personal project, and whoever happens to stop by, you're welcome to take a look here. Um, so all that to say, I'm gonna try not to cut out the ahs and the ums and the voice cracks today, because I'm not in a mood to be fake or try and present myself as someone or something that I'm really not. Um, and that's how all of the days felt, really. That's been the common thread from beginning to end. On the long drive to get to the state park, I had music that I loved, and I felt like myself again, if that makes sense at all. And it felt like there was something inside that was full. There's something full inside. And, I don't believe in well, many things. I can be a bit of a critic and a skeptic, but I don't know, I felt like I had soul again, if that makes sense at all. Um, but this isn't the time or place to have those conversations, or maybe it is. Maybe just not right now. Um, I think there's beauty to be found, uh, regardless of what you believe, unless you believe that there's no beauty. Then I guess that's gonna change the way that you see the world. And for you, that might be true. But for me, today, um, there was a lot of beauty in the nature, in spending time with friends and conversation, in difficult times too, in difficult conversations, awkward conversations, confusing conversations, but clarity at the end of it, feeling like you did the right thing. So that's today. That was today. I think I could take more time to really be intentionally grateful for the people around me and for the people that I love. Hey, in a perfect world, everyone loves everyone, but I guess that doesn't make it special too, though. That's just that's life. People don't need to hate another person, lie about what they've done or about another person. We're all messed up in all kinds of different ways. I'm messed up too, you know. But I think lately I've been so focused on how messed up I am that I've not been able to look beyond that or build something new or do something that I can be proud of or happy about. And making this channel, committing to drawing, sketching, just having fun with it, to developing, the skill set. This has been helpful for me in ways that I don't think words can really capture. And so I won't try. That's a poet's job. I'm not a poet. They can figure that out later. I'm sure somebody's already said something similar in words that are truer. Truer in that, you know, visionary way. Sometimes truth, you can just tap into it. And true is true. So let's all try to be true to ourselves, with ourselves, with others too. I think that's a good goal. More than anything, really. And everything else will follow. At the end of the day, if I know if I was honest and I did the best that I could, that's a good day. And that's a happy day. Need more of those. Going back to the drawing here. Um, while I'm taking a look at it, here's where I was talking about those colors, where they just kind of, now that I'm looking at it, there was this funkiness to the water that it really did look that green. it looked it looks pretty noxious, dude. It was pretty bad. And I know they had like nuclear plants and like power plants all over next to the lake there, but something was in the water. Something was going on. Like it doesn't just get green like that. But then you look at the shoreline and you look at where it's lapping up on the rocks, and it looks crystal clear. But as soon as you add a little bit of depth, it gets murky. There's something poetic in there too. Poets out there, figure that out for me. Um, I'm not gonna right now. Oh, here's where I was messing around with the clouds too. So I was trying to figure out because the purple looked too purple. Um, with the watercolor painting that I was doing earlier, I was able to mess with the purples and the pigment and get these splotchy shapes. And then here too, don't look at this. This is pretty bad. Um, I kind of realized I don't know how to draw clouds, dog. I don't know how to do skies. This is um this is a cry for help. Oh, and then I wrote down how I think it's like how do you even draw clouds? How to draw clouds? Anybody know? I'm gonna find somebody that does know and make that a topic for another video. Um, that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna start writing a list of ideas for videos because right now it's just wherever the wind blows, wherever um wherever my impulse takes me for now. I mean, this is all very unstructured so far. Video ideas. Click and clack on my keyboard. Video ideas. How do I draw clouds? I don't. That's a bad title because I don't draw clouds. How I learned to draw clouds. That sounds better. Yeah, I drew a cloud here. And I thought it would be so sick if he had sunglasses and was like blowing a little bit of wind. I thought that would be pretty cool. And so I drew it because why not? Here's the point where I kind of gave up halfway through and maybe a bit of apathy came over me. Maybe just it's been such a long day that I just didn't want to think too hard today about what I was making and getting it right. And it's hard too when I don't have a reference image. I'm realizing there's no colors for me to match. Um, so those all have to come from inside, and I have to just come up with them on the spot. So coming up with color palettes, learning how color combinations work, what common color, what common. Hold on a minute, I can speak. What common color combinations? That was a lot of C's in a row. What common color holy you know what I'm trying to say. I give up. What are some common combinations for colors in a piece? Now that sounded better. Combination common combinations for colors. What is it like? Vowels in a sentence sound better when they go from like a very stressed front of the mouth sound to the back of the mouth sound. Like A-I-O. I'll ever do hot cross buns on a violin and then, you know, stop playing the violin because you were promised that you'd learn how to play the Star Wars intro, but you were like 7 years old and didn't know how to actually do music. So every time you tried to play the Star Wars intro, you just kind of scraped this awful rosin covered piece of horsehair string against another piece of string that was like so tightly bound that when you made that sound, it sounded like screeches from hell. And your parents were kind enough to come to the concerts because you're like 7.5, so you don't know how to play music anyways. They're just proud that you're doing it. That's how I should be feeling about this right now, man. uh, like I I know I can do some good drawings, and I was very happy with how the Totoro came out in retrospect. But right now, I'm just playing hot cross buns, and I'll figure out the rest later on. Um, and I'm just having fun making these. And I don't know, creating something instead of consuming. Added a little bit of blue in the shadows to try and add some depth in the trees. Blue shadows I have a lot of fun with. That's one of those neat little tips that, you know, even if you don't know a whole lot about um, color theory, you can just add some blue to a shadow and it just looks right. You know, maybe in this setting it looks a little bit off without like a bright blue sun. Oh yeah, I drew like a person holding a cat and pretending that it was like Simba. I don't know why I drew that. I think I looked at that Cliff Bluff, and I was like, that kind of looks like Lion King, and so I drew Lion King. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what happened. When did I do that? All right. Well, anyways, this is coming to an end here. The video's a lot longer than yesterday's. It's not nearly as edited. In fact, it's not edited at all. I'm not cutting any um, portion of sound. I'm not cutting any clips. I'm not cutting down to the good parts. Just kind of letting it all hang out. And that's good enough for me for today. Just feeling happy that I was able to make this. And then I drew a little face. I don't know why I did that, but yeah. Thanks again for stopping by. I don't think anyone is actually stopping by. I saw like a few views on one of the videos so far. And that's pretty much it. But hey, I appreciate the like five of you that clicked on it and thought it was cool enough to click on. Sorry that these aren't as good as they could be. But, yeah. Hope you have a great day, y'all.